It brings the wildlife in, and then it allows that soil to kind of come back a little bit from being farmed for years and years.
Only about half of Mike Nelson's acres in central Iowa's Warren County are devoted to row crops. He's invested the remainder of his rolling landscape in USDA's Conservation Reserve Program.
My whole family, the one thing that we enjoy the most is the outdoors and the wildlife that comes with it. And I think a lot of this ground is ground that shouldn't be farmed. It's highly erodible.
By having a portion of his land in CRP, Nelson cost shares the conversion of his farm ground to retain topsoil, improve water quality, and restore natural habitat. However, one woodland creature can respond a little too well to such rural accommodations.
As a hunter, that's what we want to see. That's telling us that we have a buck in the area.
Iowa corn and soybeans might help feed the world, but those same growing areas provide shelter and nutrition for four-legged drifters, which some landowners consider a nuisance.
They'll just devastate our crops, and if we didn't harvest some of those, we'd just get overrun and we'd have way too many deer.
But Nelson has found a way to decrease numbers in his own backyard and uproot hunger locally thanks to a partnership between outdoorsmen, meat lockers, nonprofits, and state government.
We've got as many top 100 scored deer in the country as any other state. We've come on strong. We have one of the most in-demand non-resident deer licenses. We do limit those to 6,000, but our bow deer tags are probably the most in-demand deer license in the country.
Iowa Department of Natural Resources spokesman Mick Clemesrud says nearly 15 years ago the DNR hatched a plan to cut back on a deer population that had become a hazard in urban areas and allow hunters to donate excess harvest to those in need. While roadkill is ineligible, what followed was the statewide HUSH program, or Help Us Stop Hunger.
Iowa's deer are world-class deer, and they're really a prestigious animal to hunt. And what we've done is we've structured our season so we can make sure that those large-bodied animals can pass their genetics on before the gun season starts. Not a lot of other states do that, and they don't have the same quality deer herd that we do.
DNR officials estimate Iowa's current deer population at roughly 500,000. Clemesrud says herd size spiked around 2007, and an uptick in HUSH donations followed at over 8,300 animals the following year. The program's first decade saw over 63,000 deer, equaling more than 10 million meals, provided by Iowa hunters. Last year, about 2,800 deer were donated, with the largest number coming from Milo, Iowa. Milo Locker co-owner Daryl Goring says that's just shy of 18,000 pounds.
We are in deer country. South central Iowa is a great place to be if you're a deer hunter, and we're just blessed to be here.
Processors receive $75 from the state for each animal. The meat is shredded and packaged in 2-pound chubs and given to food banks for distribution.
Real lean red meat. So if you're watching your cholesterol or things like that, then deer is a good thing to eat.
Goring says all parties involved benefit under the agreement. And together they've streamlined how hunters contribute.
All a hunter needs to do is legally harvest a white-tailed deer, properly tag it, field dress it, bring it in. It's really, 2 minutes, and the paperwork's filled out, little index card, and he's good to go. And we take over from there.
Over 24 lockers participate in the program and work with 8 food banks serving those who are food insecure across the state. Danny Ackright, communications manager with the Des Moines-based Food Bank of Iowa, says proteins like meat are one of the most difficult nutritional products to come by. But in 2016, his nonprofit received 70,000 pounds of venison through HUSH. And he points out the huge advantage of being able to take the show on the road.
One of the misconceptions that a lot of people have about those who are hungry is that it's an inner city problem, when really it's an everywhere problem.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And really, in our rural communities is one of the hardest places to reach them. They may not have access to traditional food resource like a food pantry or a soup kitchen, so we have to design programs like the mobile food pantry to go in and meet those needs in those rural communities.
Venison?
Oh, I think it's great. I'm not a Des Moines driver, not even very far, so it is nice to have it come to Milo. You know, it's really helped.
Ackright says feedback from recipients, as well as those canvassing woods and fields, has been overwhelmingly positive.
One of the things that I love to hear is when hunters tell us that they are active hush hunters. For them, it's a sport of passion. They love to do it. They will hunt and take down a deer and help feed their own family. And when they have the ability to provide that nutritious meat to a family in need, that means something to them.
Make chili with it.
Mike Nelson agrees. From tree stand or deer blind, he helps manage an Iowa resource with high reproduction rates and few, if any, natural predators.
One deer for us is plenty. Otherwise, it'd just go to waste in one of two ways. You'd either have it processed and it'd sit in your freezer and you'd never eat it, or you wouldn't harvest the deer to begin with and then you'd just be overrun with them.
For Market to Market, I'm Josh Bittner.